Hey guys, in this video I'll be taking you through a step-by-step guide on how you can reduce your Amazon advertising costs for your Amazon Vendor Central account. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Benjamin Bolshinsky. I used to work at Amazon in the vendor management team for almost 3 years, and now I run a company called Vendor Launch where we work exclusively with Amazon vendors to grow your purchase orders. So without further ado, it's pretty easy to reduce your Amazon advertising costs on Vendor Central, especially if you notice that your advertising costs are kind of getting out of hand, increasing every month. Then I strongly suggest following these exact steps. So firstly, what you want to do is you want to go to your Amazon Ads console and download what's called a search term report. So you go to Amazon Ads, log in, on the menu on the left, click on the measuring and reporting section here, sponsored ads reports. That will then take you to this screen here where you can click on create report on the top left. And then for the configuration, which is the next screen here, report category, sponsored products, report type, search term report, period, 30 days. You can even extend it if you want. And then request time at the bottom here is now, or if you want to set this up as a scheduled task to do every month, for example, then you can just do every month or any specified time period that you want. But basically, what this will tell us is it will tell us where our advertising spend is going that is not driving sales. And we can then reduce that advertising spend because it's not driving any sales for our vendor account. So basically, you click on all this, then on the top right, click on Run Report, and then it will spit out this Excel here. This is what it will, what you can download. And so this is basically, as I mentioned, a complete Excel data sheet that shows you exactly where your advertising spend has been going over the past, say, month or whatever the time period that you chose is. So why this is important is because we can now use that Excel sheet to filter for search terms with zero sales. So in other words, where we've spent our advertising that has not generated any sales. So if we go back to this report, basically the important columns are columns O and P. So we've got the spend column here, and then the 14-day or the total sales column here, column P. So let's highlight column P. Then what we want to do is we want to click on the filter, and we want to filter to $0. So this has a complete list now of what our advertising budget has gone that has not generated any sales. So what you can do is you can actually sum up column O. So if we click on the sum, it's got, say at the bottom, $2,000. So this tells us over the past month we've spent $2,000, $2,300 on search terms that have not generated any sales. Oops, $2,300. So that's potentially a red flag. So some of that is what we would call wasted ad spend. And so what we want to do is we want to negate some of these search terms that do not drive sales. So what I would do is, for the spend column, filter by highest to lowest. And so then we've got the search terms which have spent the most amount of money that have not generated any sales. So for example, I have this makeup search term here, Bramble Zest as an example. You can see there's $15 that we've spent and it's generated $0. So potentially we should negate it because it might not be relevant. Because the thing is, when you're running advertising campaigns, the platform will expand your advertising targeting to more and more customers, because that's how Amazon makes more money. The more clicks that your advertising campaigns generate, the more Amazon gets paid. So it's within Amazon's interests, it's their incentive to have as many different customers click on your ads as possible, which is why over time, more and more search terms your ads will appear across, right? But it's your job as the advertiser or as the account manager to check those search terms and to reduce the ones that are irrelevant. And so this is an exercise I do usually once a month, maybe once every 2 months. And so you go through these search terms, focusing on the ones which have spent the most. For example, this top row, then the next row, and then you go down. And you have a look at which ones are not relevant, which ones you should negate in your ad campaigns. I use the clicks column quite a bit. So for example, something above 10 clicks might be a bit of a red flag that you want to negate. And this really depends on your product, right? So if a product is selling for more, maybe it's a $1,000 product, you can afford to spend more clicks, right? Because even if you spend $100 until you get that first sale, right, it's still a pretty profitable ad campaign, right? It's almost 100% return on ad spend. So it depends on the pricing of your product. The higher the price of your product, the more you can afford to spend on your advertising before you see a return in sales. But in our example, for most, say, consumable brands, which is most of the brands that we work with at the launch, we, let's just say, put a 7-click threshold. So we can even filter the clicks, which is column L. We can filter everything above, say, 7 clicks. And so now we've got these search terms, 7 search terms in the past 30 days where customers have clicked on it over 7 times and no one's bought it. And so these are the ones we then go through and we negate, right? Assuming they're not relevant. And so you can see, just over the last 30 days, $50 that's just been, wasted. So yeah, this is a way that we kind of go through an exercise that we go through with our clients every month, every 2 months, and we save a lot of money for advertising. Because again, a lot of brands, vendors will waste a lot of money on ads because, as you can see, Amazon will get paid more the more you spend on ads. But this is something we do with our clients to run campaigns more profitably, grow sales more profitably, and then reduce those advertising spend, advertising budgets. In fact, we've had cases where we've reduced ad spend for our client and we've actually grown sales using this approach, right? So hopefully that helps. As always, let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I'll talk shortly. Bye.